There's a kind of power that doesn't need to speak. It doesn't flash its wealth. It doesn't beg for validation on social media. It simply enters the room and suddenly the air feels heavier. People go silent. They feel it. That cold, steady presence, that silent pressure, the kind of calm intensity that whispers, "I've been through hell. And I didn't just survive. I mastered it." That's not charisma. That's not charm. That is the mind of a warrior. This isn't a story about brute strength. It's not about luck or talent. This is about mental dominance, the kind that breaks an opponent before a blade is even drawn. Miyamoto Musashi had that kind of mind. He wasn't just a man, he was a ghost wrapped in flesh. Over 60 duels, undefeated. Not because he hit harder, but because he won before the fight began in his mind. And this video, it's not about vision boards or manifesting your dreams. It's about building a mind so focused, so dangerous, that people won't know whether to fear you or follow you. Once you understand how Musashi crafted that mind, your perspective on life will shift forever. Musashi wasn't a child prodigy. He didn't have a golden start. His mother died young. He slept in forests. He fought full-grown men while still a boy. His first duel, a kill. That's not childhood, that's war. But here's the twist. He never played the victim. No dramatic breakdowns, no sympathy posts, no excuses, just ruthless, silent self-discipline. He lived by one brutal code: do nothing which is of no use. Let that quote haunt you. Every time you scroll, every time you avoid the hard thing, that's weakness feeding itself. Musashi had one obsession mastery. He didn't crave comfort. He didn't want to fit in. He chose a path that would break most men. And he walked it alone. Because the first step to building an unstoppable mind is isolation. When you're alone long enough, you meet the real enemy. Not the world, not your competition, but your own thoughts. And Musashi stared them down until they shattered. A few years ago, I was drowning in distractions. Every time I tried to focus, I spiraled, scrolling, comparing, slipping deeper into the quicksand of mental clutter, until I found an old book. The Book of 5 Rings, written by Musashi. It wasn't motivational fluff. It was cold, precise, brutal, like a manual for war. One line cracked me open. If you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things. And in that moment, everything clicked. I was trying to fix my life in pieces, health here, money there, habits everywhere. But I had no code. No way. Musashi lived by a simple law: be prepared to die, but never unprepared to win. So I deleted everything. Every app, every excuse. I treated every hour like a duel, not a feel-good productivity trick, life or death. And something shifted. Less noise, more edge. Less emotion, more clarity. Less reaction, more control. Musashi doesn't teach you how to be happy. He teaches you how to be dangerous. Musashi once said, "The primary thing when you take a sword in your hands is your intention to cut the enemy, whatever the means." And that's not just about war. That's life. You cannot build a mind like Musashi's if you're ruled by emotions. You can't build anything if every move you make is based on impulse. Musashi wasn't born cold. He forged himself through relentless discipline. He didn't react. He calculated. Most men crumble under pressure not because they're weak, but because they never trained their emotions to shut up. You could hand them the sword, the strategy, the perfect opportunity, and they'd still choke because their feelings outrank their focus. But mastery is a mind that moves without hesitation. That's the legacy Musashi left us. Not motivation, but method. Not inspiration, but invincibility. Earlier, we talked about controlling emotion to master execution, but Musashi didn't just control his emotions, he silenced them. His strength came not from rage or brute reactions, but from pure, focused stillness. He didn't shout. He didn't beg. He didn't fantasize about outcomes. He just moved, deliberately, without noise. And in today's world, that kind of restraint is terrifying, because when you don't react, people can't read you. And when they can't read you, they fear what you might be capable of. That quiet intensity, that's power. Musashi trained until his mind was quieter than his breath. Pain, fear, praise, even the shadow of death meant nothing more than data to him. He didn't become calm because life was gentle. He became calm because he slaughtered the chaos inside his own mind. Now ask yourself, when someone disrespects you, when everything around you falls apart, do you respond from principle or from panic? If your emotions are still in charge, you won't move like a warrior. You can't. To move like Musashi, you must build a mind so unshakable, so locked in that nothing, no insult, no fear, no pressure can hijack it. Because once you conquer emotion, you command execution. And once you command execution, you don't need to talk about power. You are power. Musashi didn't just flirt with death. He meditated on it daily. Not in some poetic, romantic way, but literally he imagined himself being killed, torn apart, and forgotten by the world. Why would anyone do that? Because once you truly accept death, you stop fearing it. And when death no longer holds power over you, nothing else can either. Musashi said, "The way of the warrior is resolute acceptance of death." Think about how many of your decisions are ruled by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failing, fear of what others might think. But what if you'd already made peace with the worst case scenario? What if you lived like someone with nothing to lose but everything to prove? That's when you stop reacting like a civilian and start operating like a weapon. This is why Musashi was so terrifying, not just because of what he could do, but because of what he had already faced. He didn't fear pain. He didn't fear death. He didn't even fear solitude. And because of that, he became unbreakable. Here's a bitter pill. Most of what's sold as self-care today is just cleverly packaged escapism. Take a break. Be gentle with yourself. Protect your peace. But Musashi didn't protect his peace. He earned it by walking through fire. Your mind doesn't grow stronger by dodging discomfort. It grows by conquering it. You don't evolve by chasing safety. You evolve by walking straight into fear, knowing it could break you and doing it anyway. Everyone today wants the strength of a warrior, but without the discipline. They want peace without sacrifice, power without pain, wisdom without scars. But there is no shortcut, no secret hack. Musashi knew that. He once said, "You may abandon your own body, but you must preserve your honor." And that means this: do not betray your own potential, just because weakness has been rebranded as virtue. Musashi spent his final years alone in a cave, writing, thinking, training, dying not in chaos, but with grace. And here's the incredible part. He didn't fear that silence. He became sharper inside it. Meanwhile, today, most people can't sit still for 5 minutes without scrambling for noise. They panic in silence. They need stimulation. They crave distraction. Why? Because it lets them run from the voice in their head. But Musashi didn't run from that voice. He ran toward it. And the more you train your mind to sit in pure stillness, no music, no scrolling, no chatter, just you and your thoughts, the more your mind transforms into a fortress Because once your thoughts no longer control you, that's when you start controlling everything. Here's the truth. No one tells you. Life is brutal. People will lie to you. Friends will disappear. Plans will collapse. You'll be betrayed, mocked, underestimated, and left for dead. No one's coming to save you. Musashi understood this. That's why he trained his mind like a blade, not to hurt others, but to cut through illusion. No fear, no fantasy, just clarity, precision, purpose. And if you build that kind of mind, one that doesn't flinch, doesn't beg, doesn't need, you'll become intimidating, not because you're cruel, but because you'll reflect something rare, a man who cannot be broken. The world is loud. Musashi teaches you to become the silence within it. The world is terrified. Musashi shows you how to walk into the storm naked and leave it calm. This isn't about swords. It's about your mind, your code, your future. Build a mind so strong it scares people, because they'll know they can take your money, they can strip your status, even rob you of your body, but they will never touch your mind. And in that silence, in that stillness, in that deadly calm, you will smile because you didn't just survive. You became the blade.